I'm going to divorce my husband on our 5th wedding anniversary. The reason is that my husband is too calm, and we lead a very dull life together. It's so dull that I can't pretend to be a good wife and mother anymore. I want to let go of myself and return to my original nature, but I know that my husband doesn't like me that way. So I don't want to be so embarrassed, and I'm ready to initiate divorce. I haven't let myself go for a few days, and my husband caught me back. I don't know, he's more free than me. I hid in the corner and trembled. My husband grinned and tugged at his tie. You know how to be scared, don't you? I looked at the cake in front of me, which was written with happy 5th anniversary. I turned my head and took a look at the bouquet I had just put aside. Finally, my gaze shifted to my husband, Hikai, who was sitting across from me. He is really calm. Right after I said I wanted a divorce. I thought he would at least get angry, but nothing happened. We have been sitting like this for 5 minutes. I don't agree to divorce. Our relationship hasn't broken down, so there's no reason to divorce. If you really want to cool off, we can first separate, but divorce is impossible. I'm a little confused. Why do you still disagree? I couldn't help but ask out of curiosity, why didn't you agree to divorce? He loosened his tie and leaned back in his chair. I'm very satisfied with you and our married life, so there's no need for divorce. I cried in my heart. I'm not your nanny, so why should I be satisfied? And, is your requirement really that low? Who are the couple who live so calmly and lifelessly? He saw that I didn't speak, and then said, can you tell me why you want a divorce? I gritted my teeth, but couldn't say it. Do I have to say that my previous good wife and mother were all put on, and now I can't really pretend anymore? Oh, my god, it's not fair. I thought it would be easy to get a divorce. If you don't talk, I'll pretend today didn't happen. Happy 5th anniversary. Eat the cake quickly. This one is also for you. He put a small box in front of me. It contains a beautiful necklace, the same one I accidentally took a second look at when I was shopping in the mall last time. Hikai is really a natural good husband, but I don't deserve him. Woo-woo, I'm a devil in disguise. I've been pretending to be a good girl for so long, and I can't take it anymore. Finally, I burst into tears and said, it's okay to separate. Separate first, and then divorce when you've thought it through. As soon as the words fell, I heard a clank. Hikai's fork fell to the ground. So, in this way, we were living separately. I have a crush on Hikai, who is 3 years older than me, for 2 years. After graduating from university, I applied for a job at his company and became his subordinate. After hearing about the forced marriage of his elders and his family, I hung around him every day, asking after his well-being. Finally, he finally saw my existence. When his parents forced him to bring a female companion to the party, she successfully stepped in and became his female companion. And after a year, she became a gentle and virtuous woman in her family's mouth and successfully married him. My family, who knows? I married the person I secretly loved, and it's a perfect life. But I cheated to get it, because I'm not at all gentle and virtuous. Everything I did was just an act. After 5 years of marriage, I suddenly felt that I couldn't lie to Hikai anymore. And for the past 5 years, I really didn't feel that Hikai liked me. I've had enough of playing the fool. Furthermore, I have already given birth to a mini version of Hikai, and even if I divorce him, I still have my spiritual sustenance. So, it's not fun. I don't want to pretend anymore. Divorce is the best choice. But I never expected that Hikai wouldn't divorce me. On the first day of separation, I was woken up by his phone call. Wife, I can't find a blue tie. I was still groggy and not awake yet. Please look in the 3rd shelf. There are some of your less used leadership books. They might be there. Okay, is Ball still used to sleeping over there? I squinted down at my son, who was sleeping with his legs splayed out. He's doing great. The little rascal hasn't woken up yet. Little bastard? I suddenly woke up and realized that I had accidentally called him my son. I glanced at the clock and said, there's nothing wrong. Hurry up and get to work. If you don't leave soon, you'll be late. After I hung up the phone, my heart was pounding. Oh my god, my image collapsed on the first day of separation. However, what if it collapses? I am ready for divorce. But, woo-woo, Hikai, I can't bear to part with you. Why can't you like me? If you like me, I can keep pretending for another 10 years. I wasn't in the mood to sleep, so I woke up my son, too. Dave Kai had already gone to work, and Xiao Hakai had to go to kindergarten. My son gnawed on a bun and asked me, Mom, why don't we live with Dad? I kissed his little nose and said, because Daddy has been busy lately, but when he's done, we can live together. Anyway, your dad goes out early and comes back late, and you rarely see him. He frowned. I reached out and touched his eyebrows. Don't mess with your father's dead body, frowning all the time. The son's bun fell on the table with a clatter. Mom, your voice sounds strange today. I was too involved in the drama before, and I didn't dare to speak recklessly in front of my son. I had to be very cautious and restrained, which made me very uncomfortable. Now that I have come to see things clearly, it doesn't matter much. Is it strange? It will be even more strange in the future, my son. I rushed home as soon as I dropped off Chocho at kindergarten. When I married Hikai, I always had morning sickness after getting pregnant. It was so dark and gloomy that I finally had to quit my job. After Chocho was born, she was very well behaved, not crying or fussing, and it was very comfortable to bring her along. I have been taking care of the child at home and have not gone out to work again. But I secretly wrote at home, which Hikai, of course, didn't know. Otherwise, how can I explain the comment of little face yellow from a bunch of readers who urged me to post more? It's time to update again, and I have to finish writing and publishing today's debt. Just as I was writing selflessly, Hikai called again. I'm going to a party. Do you have time to accompany me? The requirement is to bring a female companion. I don't want to bring someone I don't know. If you don't have time, it's fine. I can probably get there myself. I can already picture the scene in my head of Hikai being surrounded by a circle of people asking, why didn't your wife come? I still couldn't bear to refuse and agreed. I will pick you up on Friday evening, okay? Okay. After hanging up the phone, I furiously typed out words. Healy reached out and pulled her into his arms, hugging her tightly and kissing her hard. In reality, what you haven't done, I will let you do it in the world of novels. When it was time to pick up Chocho in the afternoon, I hit the submit button and submitted the finished manuscript. Today's debt is paid off, so don't scold me. I waited at the entrance of the kindergarten and finally saw my son wandering out. I took my son's hand from the teacher's hands, and my heart melted. Come on, say goodbye to the teacher. Ball leaned forward in my arms and bowed. Thank you, teacher. Goodbye, teacher. My big son is indeed polite. Seeing the envious looks from the parents around me, I instantly puffed up my chest and felt so proud. I took my son to my best friend's house in the evening. I talked to her about getting divorced. Chocho accompanied her daughter through the house. I looked at the toy pot and the colorful plastic toys inside. Oh, Kung Pao chicken is already being fried. My best friend tugged me aside and whispered in my ear, are you really getting divorced? Are you willing to give up all those years of love? I sighed. What's the point of liking someone? My likes can't be eaten. What can I do if I like someone? You know my husband's personality. I doubt he has any feelings for the whole world, let alone an ordinary human like me. But judging from Hikai's appearance, I don't think he doesn't like you. He treats you very well. I gulped down the juice in my hand and took a deep breath. He said he was quite satisfied, so it must have nothing to do with liking. Besides, I can't pretend anymore. Being a good wife and mother is too difficult. Sometimes I'm afraid I'll talk in my sleep, which scares me and makes me unable to sleep well. If this continues, I'll have mental fatigue. But her best friend squinted her eyes and looked incredulous. If you can fake it for 7 years, you can fake it for 70 years. You can fool others, but you can't fool me? Are you trying to find a way out? Tell me what's going on. I was shocked. Why is she so smart? Since she has asked, I will confess. Okay, I pretended to be the perfect girl for 7 years to marry him. 7 years. Do you know how I spent these 7 years? He hasn't even seen me without makeup for so many years. Why? Because I get up at 5 in the morning to put on makeup. I'm all dressed up before he wakes up. I have such strong willpower, as you said. I think I can play it for 70 years, even I can play until he is sent away. My best friend turned her mouth down disdainfully and said, so why not stop acting? Because it's useless. I've done all this, but he still doesn't like me. Her best friend expressed her incomprehension. Hikai agreed to marry you, so he must have liked you a little, right? Is there some misunderstanding between you? I waved my hand and said, there's no misunderstanding. It's just that I was too greedy. At first, I thought that just marrying him was enough, regardless of whether he liked it or not. But now I see that it's not like that. After years of unilateral effort, I'm tired. Forget it, let's not talk about that. Anyway, we are getting divorced. Let me tell you, my latest novel has exploded. My best friend held her face and smiled crazily. I've seen it. The male lead, Healy, is a dream. He's handsome, has a great body, has a great personality, has a lot of time, and is a little bit bossy. He's really the ideal guy in the world. But the Leon Healy doesn't mean divorced, does it? I snapped my fingers and said, it was during the writing of this book that I planned to get divorced, so I came up with this name. Alas, if Hikai could be like the male protagonist and not be so cold, I could pretend for a lifetime and at least give him 3 children. I have already had a wild imagination of 3 miniature versions of Hikai rolling around on the grass. Just as I was lost in thought, a small hand touched my cheek. I looked down and saw my best friend's little girl smiling at me, showing off her newly grown teeth. My heart melted. I stretched my arm and held the little man like a doll in my arms, sighing with satisfaction. It's so soft and fragrant. Let me hug you, dear. The doll giggled in my arms, and then she held the toy bowl in front of me. I looked at the colorful bowl and pretended to eat happily. Mia, the Kung Pao chicken made by dolls is really delicious. Chocho walked up to me and pointed at the bowl solemnly, saying, Mom, baby sister can't eat spicy food yet, so she made spicy chicken. Me, heaven, I seem to see a miniature version of Hikai, with his tone, movements, and demeanor. I shuddered and sighed, my son, if you're so mature at 4, it may be difficult for you to find a wife in the future. Ball was shocked at first, and then fell into deep thought. After hearing this, the doll stretched out her hand and patted Ball's shoulder. Don't worry, brother, I'll be your wife. Chocho smiled with satisfaction. Bestie, me, daughter-in-law. I hugged the doll tighter. Wow, I have a daughter-in-law, a soft and fragrant daughter-in-law. For the next hour, her best friend was digesting the fact that her daughter had married herself. And, if her daughter marries Chocho, will she become a rich and bitter woman like me? It wasn't until her husband came back that she could digest, and then she wailed and jumped into her husband Zhao Yu's arms. Husband, our daughter has married. She married by herself. Zhao Yu looked down at the baby that followed him and at Chocho, who was holding the baby's hand, and his face immediately turned black. Your father just bargained with me during the negotiation, and now you come here to kidnap my daughter. Is there any justice? Me. After dinner, my best friend and her husband were ready to send me and Chocho home. I said your spouse's mood changed so much, like a madman at the negotiation table. It turns out that there was a fire in the backyard. I snorted indifferently, as I didn't feel that I was so important in Hixing's heart. When I got off the bus, I deliberately hugged the doll and kissed it, saying, goodbye, daughter-in-law. My best friend slapped me out of the car and said, get out of my life. I held my son and came back home. As soon as I got out of the elevator, I saw Hikai standing in front of the door. Dad. Ball ran towards the person and then directly dived into Hikai's arms. Hikai picked up the child and said, I'm afraid you don't have time to pick up your dress for the dance on Friday, so I brought it over for you. I looked at him and then at the suitcase beside him. I am a jobless man. How can I be out of time? Thank you. I opened the door and let people in. Have you been waiting for a long time? Hikai shook his head and said, no, please take a seat. I'll get you a glass of water. Thank you. Hikai and Chocho were talking in the living room, so I walked around the kitchen and started to boil some water. It's already 9:30. At this point, I usually give Hikai lemonade to drink. However, I glanced at the coffee next to me and realized that if he drank it at this time, he would not be able to sleep at night. So, I'll make him a big cup of tea. I'll make you suffer from insomnia, this cold, unmelted stone. Delivering the coffee to the person, Hikai took a look at the coffee, took another look at me, and then took a sip. Good, I'm satisfied. Chocho didn't notice anything like me poisoning his father. He is very happy today, and the group is telling him about the matter of making chicken with sauce in his arms. I'm puzzled. Is it really necessary to be so warm-hearted just because I left his father for a day? Hikai listened to Chocho talking, only occasionally raising his eyes to look at me. When he looked at me again, I raised my arm with a large movement and stared at my watch for a moment. Sure, the two of us have been chatting for half an hour, and it's already 10 o'clock. Hikai looked at me and then looked away. What? You ignored my big action of looking at the watch? Don't you know you should leave? Just as I was about to send them away, Chocho spoke up. Will Daddy sleep with us? Mommy said Daddy was busy, so he didn't sleep with us, but now Daddy has time, let's sleep together. Me, what are you doing, you brat? Sell your own mother? Hikai nodded. Okay, me. I stared at Hikai, my eyes almost burning. Brother, are we living separately? Today is the second day of our separation, brother. Chocho, your dad has to go to work tomorrow morning. It's too far from the company, and it's not convenient for your dad. Chocho stared at me for 2 seconds and said, I know. Then Dad, go home. You have to work tomorrow morning. Saying that, he jumped off the sofa and said, I'm going to brush my teeth. I have to get to kindergarten early too. Then, he rushed into the bathroom. I raised my arm again and looked at the clock. It seemed that Hikai finally understood my meaning, and he stood up and walked over to me. Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. I nodded to show my understanding. It's getting late. Please go home soon. Be careful on the way. I was about to go to the bathroom to help Chocho wash up when I passed him, but he grabbed my arm. Wife, I was wrong. Me? What is it? Wrong? What's wrong? Hikai saw my questioning gaze and said, you're angry and want to divorce me. There must be something wrong with me, so I apologize. Don't divorce me. Hikai, how can you say such soft words? Would he take the initiative to seek peace? What did you do wrong? He paused for a moment and said, I don't know, but I must have been wrong. I couldn't help rolling my eyes. I have never seen Hikai roll his eyes before, so I probably startled him. I helped him straighten his collar, which was a little turned up, and then asked, do you like me? I like it, not hesitating for a second. But I don't believe it. I pushed him out of the door, called him a liar, and then closed the door. Big liar. To be continued.